Ladies and gentlemen, today's rant will be about something that has been bugging me a whole lot lately. As a child, I used to watch BBS. This is because in my house, growing up, my family didn't have satellite TV, let alone basic cable. All we had were broadcast stations, like Fox, CBS, the WB, NBC, ABC, and a varying collection of other channels, some of which had poorer reception than others. There were also a little more than two Spanish-language stations which at 10 years old, I sat down to watch to see if I could get into them. Some of the shows aired in those stations were strange, including one with an adult woman dressing up like a child, reminiscent of some of the skits on Mad TV. Above all, since I never really had a chance to see what everyone else at school was watching, I made do with the very limited selection of channels I did have. BBS was full of baby shows, including Barney, the Teletubbies, Mr. Rogers, Big Comfy Couch, Caillou, Thomas the Tank Engine, Whimsy's House, and a whole bunch of other shit programs, but at least there was the Magic School Bus and Arthur. Today, I'm going to speak about the latter. Arthur, the TV show, was certainly more comfortable than sitting in a church. It used to be on at 7 a.m. in the morning every Saturday and Sunday, and watching the show at that time of day with a bowl of milk plus cereal was the greatest thing on the planet. It seemed that the show did everything my mind was asking of it. Each one of the stories were completely engaging with funny and original characters, many of whom are more interesting characters than many of the adult TV shows at the time. And that's the thing. I am 20 years old and I still enjoy watching Arthur, that is up until season 6. It was at this point when the original voice actor of the show left and hired this pipsqueak with a jarring tone. However, the show is in its 14th season and from 2001 until now, most of the original cast of voice actors have been depleted. How could such a great show suffer such a tremendous inconvenience in the removal of the original voice actors for the two main characters, Arthur Reed and D.W. Reed, yet all the other original voice actors and actresses remain? These new voice actors for Arthur and D.W. make the show absolutely unwatchable. This new voice actor for Arthur sounds twice as chirpy as the previous one. It's so disruptive to the interplay with other key characters, like Buster and Francine for example. Then there's D.W. In these newer episodes, D.W. sounds absolutely nothing like she used to in the first 5 seasons. I had grown so used to that cartoonish low drawl, realistically unsuitable for a 4 or 5-year-old. Now she just sounds like a baby, making scenes with her even worse than the scenes with Arthur. While many of the other voice actors and actresses from the show have remained, there have been issues with the other voice actors, like Melissa Aldro, whom voices Muffy Crosswire, the stuck-up rich girl with the car salesman for a father. In these new episodes, Muffy's voice has been getting squeakier than needed. Melissa has been voicing Muffy since she was 14. Her voice should have deepened, now that she's 28 years old. Muffy has shown to be rather out of character. On top of this, she used to say the most stuck-up and rude things of all the characters, but now all they have done was make her more feminine, hence the voice. More feminine, it's not like anyone in this show ages, anyway. The whole tone of the show is now overly innocent and heel-clicking, as opposed to before. It used to be that the show did what it wanted, when it wanted. The stories were all about the characters. Now, all the writers do is create storylines that's rendered to integrate information about the quote-unquote real world. It's not so much about morals, but more rather, it tries to inform the audience about certain technology or world social developments. All the characters are now dry and lifeless. You don't even see Binky Barnes growl at or try to intimidate any of the other characters anymore. I suppose this is done in order for certain audiences to not get the impression that the show promotes bullying. I'm not sure how anyone would get that impression, since the show is titled Arthur, not Binky. And in context with all the other storylines, you cannot conclude that it does. Over the past 5 to 7 seasons, the show has introduced a few handfuls of new characters, some of which are okay, but in all, they are mostly dry and lifeless. I long for the days of season 1, in which the episodes had engaging storylines and main focus wasn't drilling an educational tidbit for a noticeable portion of the segment. On top of that, the animation is so clean now, it's less transfixing. If you watch closely, the characters don't move with any pizzazz or speed. Please, someone, show me an episode from the past 4 or 5 seasons in which one of the characters has made a Roadrunner dash. I just do not see it anymore. But anyway, I encourage the makers of Arthur to consider hiring new voice actors for Arthur, D.W. the Brain, Sue Ellen, and retrain Melissa Aldro, for crying out loud.